What's going on, everybody? I'm Dan the Realtor. Are mortgage prices going up or down? Mortgage fraud, a cautionary tale. We got the DMV real estate news, real estate hot or not. Then we're going to jump into the comment section. Welcome to the Real Estate Wire, folks. What's going on, everybody? I'm Dan the Realtor.
Coach Marcus right here.
And today, we've got some cool topics for you guys today. What's going on, Coach?
Man, everything is everything. I can't complain a bit. Yeah.
It's raining outside, man.
Listen, I'm hungry. It's raining outside. I'm changing my diet. You asked me what's going on. I'm changing my diet. I'm working on that right now.
You changing your diet?
Yeah, man. I'm trying to. So, went to the doctor and my cholesterol was a little bit high.
Oh, word?
They've been talking about that for a little bit. But I just need to eat better, do better. So, it sucks.
Yeah.
But, because now I'm wondering, I'm asking my wife, can I eat this? Can I eat that?
Oh,
and I'm
yeah.
like, so I look at my list, looking at these different things online. I'm like, man, stuff
Health
I want to do, I can't do. Huh?
Health is wealth.
It is. But you make me a little bit irritable. You know, you ever fast or
Yeah.
you know how you get irritated quickly on the fat?
Quicker to snap at people.
Boy.
Yeah, I've been there, man. I no stranger to it, but you know.
You good though?
I'm good, man. No complaints. Got a couple deals on the board, trying to get to the closing table, and been really listing heavy pretty recently. So
yeah,
I'm starting to see the market kind of like I'm hoarding a bunch of listings. I got a bunch of listings, so I'm just kind of like I just got a couple under contract. I got some more that's about to hit the market. So I'm seeing people starting to trickle back in the market. I'm seeing, people kind of just making their peace with this 5 and 6% interest rate environment that we're in. 6 or 7% interest rate. I really don't even pay much attention to it because, I think we make a little bit too big a deal out of it. I think it's just something that the news talks about a lot.
Yeah.
People feel like it's really, really important, and I think one of the more important questions is how much are you paying for the overall house, right? Because you can always refi yourself out of an interest rate.
Yeah.
Can't refi yourself out of a purchase price.
No. You cannot. The price is what it is.
The price is what it is. Once you got it, once you bought it, you bought it.
Yeah.
And so that kind of leads us to our top real estate headline, which is
Talk about it.
Are prices going up or down? And that really depends on who you're talking to, right? And what stats you're looking at. I was talking to my boy Nick Bush the other day about stats. We always arguing about stats.
What up, Nick?
What up, Bush? We argue about stats a lot because I'm always like, look, stats are stats, and any stat can be created.
Wait, you arguing?
No,
Nick
I don't argue. No, me and Nick don't argue. You know me, I'm a very peaceful, non-confrontational person.
I wonder how that would sound like y'all two arguing.
It sounds like it's based. No, the thing is, Nick Bush has his own.
What's Nick's voice?
Oh, Nick Bush, look, he's like this, y'all. So, all right, look, it's like this. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm hip hop. All right. What you don't understand? That's Nick Bush. I'm more even keeled. I don't do a lot of yelling and screaming.
Yeah, keep going. While you over there lying about the color green,
I'm very peaceful. But I tend to think that stats can be manipulated and certain stats can be created based on what narrative you're trying to push. This article from Keeping Current Matters kind of talks a little bit about that. Starts off, media coverage is what's happening with media's coverage about what's happening with home prices can be confusing. A large part of that is due to the type of data being used and what they're choosing to draw attention to. For home prices, there are typically two different methods used to compare home prices over different time periods. One is the year-over-year comparison. So sometimes you'll hear a statistic and it'll say, from this time last year, you hear us say that a lot on the Real Estate Wire podcast. We'll say, from this time last year, prices were this. There's also another comparison, which is the month-over-month comparison. And basically, this article goes on to explain the difference between those two comparisons.
Were you asking me to say something?
No, I thought you were about to say something. So basically, the year-over-year comparison, the article continues, says This comparison measures the change in home prices from the same month or quarter of the previous year. For example, if you're comparing year-over-year home prices of April 2023, you will compare them to home prices of April 2022. That's self-explanatory. Year-over-year focuses on the changes over the year period, providing more comprehensive view of long-term trends. They're usually more useful in evaluating annual growth rates and determining if the market is generally appreciating or depreciating. The month-over-month comparison is a measures the change in home prices from one month to the next. For example, if you compare month over month from April, you would then compare it to month over month for March. Meanwhile, month over month comparisons analyze the changes with a single month, giving more immediate snapshot of short-term movements and price fluctuations. They're often used to track immediate shifts in supply, demand, seasonal trends, and the impact of specific events on housing markets. So the key difference this article is talking about is understanding the difference between year over year and month over month comparisons from the time frame being assessed. Both have their own merits and serve different purposes depending on the specific analysis required.
I think so. Month over month, obviously, is January to February to March, all of that, right? And that's what a lot of times we're talking about this data. We do it two ways: the month over month, and we do year over year. So what it was this month, June of last year is what you compare it to, higher or lower, and what it was from June of this year to May of this year, you compare it to. And I think if you're really trying to be active in this market, yeah, you can look at what it was last year, but what does that really matter, right? I think,
Right.
I think if you really pay attention to month over month, you can really get the feel for, either I'm lagging in my call to action,
Yeah.
or I'm actually on top of things, right? I'm right.
Right.
I'm right on pace because everything changes and moves. I mean, you're looking at probably like 30-day delays sometimes in the reporting of the data,
Right.
but at least let you know, okay, I need to make some moves or not.
Yeah, I think there, when you talk about lagging indicators and leading indicators, typically home sales are like closings. Closings are what we call lagging indicators because
Yeah.
they happen after a particular thing has happened. Leading indicators are, for example, contracts written, right? Because contracts written aren't probably going to close for another 30 days. So
Yeah.
we can look and see the amount of pendings, which is how we determine the inventory and the inflation rate. Not the inflation rate, the absorption rate.
Absorption, yeah.
We determine the absorption rate by how many properties are on the market, and we divide those by how many are pending.
Okay.
Because the amount of properties that are on the market are being reduced by the amount that are pending, and then we can basically see how much inventory we have, over a 12-month period. Month over month analysis is more so important for things like average sales price, right? So if last month we know our median sales price was 500,000, and this month it's up 12% from this time last month, well, that's a big jump month to month. Now you may say, well, this time last year we're down year over year, but what you have to you have to compare that to, well, what happened last year, right? So I think a lot of things that people were saying when we first came out of the pandemic were a misappropriation of the data, where they were saying, well, we had like we talked about in the prior episodes, the unicorn years, right? Where we had an astronomical amount of sales than we've ever had in the history of America,
Right.
over 2020 and 2021. Well, now things getting back to normal, you're going to look and say, oh, well, year over year, we're down transaction wise, right? Because we had this many transactions in 2020 and now we have less transactions. That must mean that this is a bad real estate market. Therefore, we're having a crash because year over year. But if you look at that numbers month over month, you see that the prices are steadily increasing month over month. Well, then you have to discount the year over year data because the month over month data are giving you a more accurate pulse of where we are in the market.
Yeah, that's good info. It's good info. And sometimes the numbers and the stats can get a little bit overwhelming, but that's why we have to continue to break this. Sometimes it's confusing information down. Study the market, be a expert, and be diligent, and be, I'm not gonna say even obsessive about your craft, right? But every athlete that performs at a high level, they are obsessive about what they do. Every actor, actress, every anybody in any field that we know of, that that operates at a high level of excellence is because they're studying it, they're digesting it on a regular basis, but then they make that thing so easy for the general public
Yeah.
to understand or to be able to identify with the character that you see in the movie or the music that you hear, that it makes so much, it just clicks. That's why it's important for us to continue to do that. So feel free, y'all, to always use us as a resource, because Dan drops a lot of knowledge about books that he's reading about different things, and it's not always just related to real estate, but it can also help with the I would say the digestion and or interpretation of what's going on in the market, so that you as the buyer, you as the seller, can have a smooth ride. And I do the same. I'm always reading, and I said in the earlier episodes that loan officers don't succeed a lot of times because loan officers are lazy and they don't read. And you remember that from earlier?
Yeah.
Like, I'm reading guidelines. I'm reading, sending emails, like just trying to find the ways. And we're going to have different types of strategies to help you overcome the challenges that come in this market, because we can't do anything about what happens in the market,
Right.
but we can be excellent within the changes and be ready. And we're always ready so that y'all can, achieve your dreams and goals.
Yeah, that's one thing that I tell my clients a lot is, my job is not to control the market.
Yeah.
I can't control what your house sells for. That's not my job to determine how much to control what your house sells for. Our job is to help you interpret the market.
Yes.
And be reasonable about, where you're going to be pricing your home when you do get ready to sell, and what the buyers are actually saying about the value of your home. If buyers are only submitting a certain amount of offers, if you're looking at 2021 numbers and trying to get 2021 numbers, well, it's 2023 now. So we have to deal with the current market that we're in.
Yeah.
When you look at, a lot of the articles that started coming out, you have to remember their motivation, right? And unfortunately, a lot of times, bad news sells. And so since bad news sells, most of your headlines are going to be negatively slanted. And, you just have to take that into consideration and really, really think about, well, why am I actually selling? Why am I actually trying to buy a house right now? Am I trying to buy a house because everybody else is buying a house and because it's 2% and everybody's saying that this is the time that I should jump in? And am I not selling a house right now? Am I not buying a house right now because everybody's saying that it's a bad time to buy? Well, that doesn't really make sense. Are you just doing it because everybody's saying to do it? Are you just doing it because everybody's saying not to do it? And as opposed to really looking at the details, looking at the numbers and saying, maybe actually because everybody's scared to buy right now, maybe now is actually a good time to buy. Or maybe because everybody's trying to buy right now, maybe now is not the best time to buy. Or maybe it doesn't really matter when you buy. It's about how you buy and what strategy you're employing, and then how that fits into your long-term goals. We had the past episode, we were talking to Tiffany, the finance coach, where she was basically saying like, yo, a lot of the, you see me in markets with for sale signs, we just sold and this and that, but you didn't see what that buyer went through in order to get themselves into a financial position where they could buy. And rarely does that timing the market aspect come into a long-term strategy. Like rarely does that fit. Rarely will you see
those two things align.
Yeah, you'll rarely see those stars align perfectly. Where even people who have really significant portfolios, rarely will you'll see them say, "Hey, I was in the game and I got lucky." Right? It's like, hey, I just happen to have all these properties, and then the market shot up, right?
Right, yeah.
But it's because they were taking action, and it wasn't so much that they perfectly timed the market, it's that they were in the market when the market took off.
And they were ready to go. They had some upfront preparedness that was going on. They just kind of had their, what they call it, ducks in a row. They kind of had some things in a row. They didn't have to do anything just yet. They just had it all in a row so that they could execute when the right time came.
Exactly. And speaking of executing when the right time came, let's talk about Coach's Corner, shall we?
Oh, executing.
Yeah. What's going on in the Coach's Corner, Coach? What you got for us?
Man, I wanted to come out with just like winners don't cheat, cheaters don't win. There's an F word in mortgage lending, and it's not a 4-letter word. It's actually. No, it ain't a 3-letter word either. Fraud. It's
family?
That's a great word. That's one of the best words in our business.
Friends?
Not that one. It's called fraud.
Oh.
Is that word? And me being around 20 years, I remember watching people do certain things before there was RESPA, TRID, CFPB, before you had to have an NMLS number. And I watched them do certain things, and I was like, that, I knew it wasn't right. I didn't know what to call it, but I knew it wasn't right, you know? So there's a guy in Texas. He is a developer in Austin, Texas. And he was making false statements to lenders. He didn't do it just one time. He did it repeatedly, to the tune of him facing 240 years in prison and fines of $180 million.
How you do 240 years in
You
prison?
ain't gonna do it. You ain't gonna do it. But then the other thing is, because he made up numbers pertaining to his bank accounts and his assets, and he submitted it to a number of lenders, and they approved him with this, and he acquired some properties. In addition to the years in prison and the penalties for 180 million, he's also looking at having to forfeit up to at least 8 of those properties. And these properties are generating income, right? He developed it, they're generating income. So this is on, and he lied several times between 2017 and 2018. Here's the point, right? This is a examination of someone who's done it on a large scale, but on a smaller scale, down to the loan officers that I know and are friends within the business. Maybe you say we compete with. Some of this stuff still happens in our world, right? But it also happens on the consumer side, because I've seen loans. Matter of fact, I have personally turned down loans when I'm looking at somebody making up pay stubs and they change something and something's not consistent. I used to, even when I worked at Navy Federal, I used to have to take classes for fraud prevention, and they don't teach you. Fraud is almost easy to teach. It's easy to detect, because they're not teaching you about all the different examples of fraud, because people can do a lot of different things, especially now with the internet and whatever. They teach you what the real stuff looks like. They teach you what to look for. They train your eyes to know what the real looks like.
So how do you get caught?
You get sloppy. In every gangster movie.
You got greedy?
In every gangster movie, right? They always want to make that one last run. And somebody gets somebody gets shot. Right. Same thing. Same thing in the mortgage world,
Your
right?
success took a shot at you, Frank.
Hey, listen.
You told me that you could guarantee me peace of mind. I'm not feeling too peaceful right now.
You almost got the accent.
Well, thank you.
But so when people fabricate bank statements and they go into different apps and whatever and try to edit stuff, or they doctor up a pay stub, or back in the day they used to do like verification fraud. So it would be like, you don't really work there, but you can come up with the documents and that shows that when you do work there, and we can give a number to, hey, call this person. And when they call, say I work there for this amount of time for blah, 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 blah. That's fraud, right? There's something in our world that's still called a straw buyer, right? People don't even hear those terms any longer. And straw buyer is really simple. It's that this person right here wants to buy a house, but they are not qualified to buy the house. But they got a brother or sister or somebody else over here who could qualify for the house. So this person is getting qualified to say that they're living in this property that you're showing them, and I'm giving a loan for, and I don't know that it's, so in some situations, I don't know that it's not really who's getting the house.
So they're saying that they're gonna live in it as a primary residence, but they're not gonna live in it as their primary residence.
Straw buyer is one of those things where you convince a person with good credit to buy a house for a person that's got some financial issues or bad credit. And it's not so much about, now what you just talked about is occupancy fraud. I'm buying it as I'm telling you, I'm living it as my primary residence, but really, I'm only going to be buying it as an investment, right? Because an investment guideline requires how much down payment? Usually 20%. Primary residence,
20%, Frank.
right? Occupancy of a primary residence, minimally 3% on conventional loans, whatever. So, like, there's a lot of different types of fraud. Point is, winners don't cheat, cheaters don't win. So be straight up, tell the story, and as a loan officer, allow me to filter through the pieces to show you what you can and can't do so that it works to your greatest advantage. And that's all I got from the corner. You know who it is.
Dude, like that's insane to me that so this guy was an investor and he just pretty much figured out how to like get all these documents like to like make it look like he was actually more financially stable than he actually was.
He was hiding business partners from the lenders. He was supplying fraudulent financial documents. Basically, they were saying that he had a certain amount of money that he didn't have. Like one of them said that he had like $25 million in the bank, right? But he only had he only owed like $3 million in liabilities. But he actually had like $30 million in liabilities, right? And he had way less than $25 million in the bank. He actually only had like 500,000, right? But he was able to doctor up the
because 500,000 is still a good amount of money to have in the bank. Why you got to lie?
It is, but when you trying to build let's say a $50 million complex or what you know what I mean? Like you're trying to do a $50 million development, you need a lot of assets and reserve money. But and see, here's another piece. This dude actually sent a statement over that had only $13,000 in it. When a document he emailed showed that he had 14.2. Come on now, that's a big gap. But here's the crazy part: when loans are done, don't think that they're just going to take the documents and shred them and never be seen again. Documents are held on average. I think it's 5 years a lot of times.
So do they go back through that? And like review like
all this happened all the time.
It's an audit
because this happened between 2017 and 2018. It's 2013 now. I mean 2023 now. So we're talking 5-6 years ago.
Okay. Right.
And see, what do we also have? We also have a paper trail.
Right.
So when someone buys this over here, and let's say you did it in the wrong way, and then time goes by, and you go out here and you try to get this thing.
Yeah.
People are watching. Right. There's things that hit the system. So they're saying, well, how in the world did he get, how is he doing this when this over here was a struggle? Or he tried to get this first thing, went to the second thing, and he got denied for the second thing, and now he's on to the third thing. Dude. Well, wait a minute. You couldn't do this one because of this. I mean, because of this one. So how you getting this?
Not adding up.
There you go.
He got greedy.
Got shot.
What's his dude name?
Should I drop it?
Yeah, I mean, he got 240 years in jail. I think that's public record.
He's only like, his name is Nate Paul.
Nate Paul?
Nate Paul. He's not related. No, he's not Jake Paul and them cousin, I don't think.
No, his name Nate Paul?
Nate Paul.
Yeah, I don't know nobody named Nate Paul.
Real name, government probably Nathaniel.
Little Nate?
Nathaniel. One of them Paul boys from down there in Texas.
Them Paul boys. Down there commit mortgage fraud. All right,
sorry,
let's hit the, speaking of Nate.
Hold up.
Let's get into the DMV real estate report. DMV market report. Okay, let's get into the DMV market report.
Yes, sir.
So for May 2023, I know we're about to be in June, but June comes after we get out of June. We're still compiling June. Mm-hmm. But so far, the question of if we've hit the bottom, I think I'm going to put this chart down here. If you want to take a look at this chart, where we are regarding median sales price, you can look at the chart. You can see November 2022, we were at about 360,000 median sales price in the DMV. In December, we dropped to around 300 and looks like around 350, a little bit over 350.
Okay.
January looked like we were at the bottom. We dropped to around a little bit lower than $350,000 median sales price. Then February, we started ticking up to around 360. January, February, March, we ticked up to around 370 average median sale price in the DMV. 380 we jumped in April. Now in May, we're at 400,000 for our median sold price.
Really good.
And you can kind of see the chart. This is kind of like what we were explaining when we were in January, which is buy now because it ain't getting cheaper. We've been saying that.
Yeah.
And now you guys can kind of see what we've been talking about these many months for the Real Estate Wire Squad that's been sticking with us. We're right back up again. Now, are we going to drop back down again? The signs don't point to that. The road signs aren't pointing to that.
Yeah.
Here are the road signs. We're not speculating here. We're not just talking out of random because we watch something on the news. These are just numbers. So when we look at the numbers, we're going to post it here for you guys to see. The new listings are up 10% from April. Year over year, like we were talking about earlier with the stats, we're down 29% from this time last year. But like we said, last year doesn't matter.
Right.
And also that would be a road sign for not likely for prices to drop if we have less inventory than we did last year.
Right.
If we have a tightening of the inventory, I mean, if you can imagine going to the grocery store and there's less bread on the shelves, well, y'all probably gonna be fighting for that last piece of bread.
And toilet paper. And
toilet paper.
Hand sanitizer.
And hand sanitizer. And alcohol wipes.
And Popeye's chicken.
And then next thing you know, you got somebody outside selling hand sanitizer for $20 a carton, right? So the less inventory we have, the higher the prices tend to go. So one indicator that prices would be about to drop would be if we had an increase year over year in the amount of new listings that are coming on for sale. We don't see that. We do see an increase in new listings, but we're down year over year from those listings. So we have more listings hitting the market. We also have more pendings hitting the market, which means, like we were talking about earlier, people putting properties under contract, which is a leading indicator of where our market is going. So we got more properties hitting the market, more properties going under contract, 5.3% from this time last month, and down 19% from this time last year, which again shows that probably not going to have lower. We're probably not going to have less inventory and then less prices.
Right.
It doesn't work like that.
Yeah,
they are inversely related. So the more inventory we have, the better it is for you if you're trying to get a good deal. The less inventory we have, the better it is for you if you're trying to sell your house.
Yeah, I'm with that.
And then closed sales, which is a lagging indicator like we talked about, is up 21% and it's down year over year. So we have more closings happening. We have more inventory hitting the market month over month. And now we're at pretty much where we were 2022 of as far as the median sales price we're up 400,000 for our average sales price here in the DMV.
It's really good. DMV is a really solid place to buy. A number of areas out here to settle in and raise your family. If you don't have a family, a number of places out here to find your 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, condo, whatever, and start your real estate journey. A number of places out here that they may or may not be considered DMV depending on who you ask.
We are the arbiters of what is the DMV.
But you can get in and find a place that needs a lot of tender love and care.
Yeah,
and do a renovation loan and and live in that thing. I mean, it's a lot of DMV is a unique spot. Not to mention, I know it's raining right now, but not to mention the weather, except for the humidity.
Yeah, we get the dopest weather. I mean, I've been around a lot of different countries, states.
Yeah, this we don't get tornadoes and hurricanes and earthquakes.
We
and all
just
that
get a little
like
bit of rain and it gets a little bit hot.
or not.
Let's get into the real estate hot or not, brother. What you got for us?
Would you? One got to go.
All right.
Bacon, eggs, pancakes, or cereal?
Bacon, eggs, pancakes,
or cereal. One got to go.
Get rid of the pancakes. I can't get rid of cereal. I can't get rid of bacon and eggs.
I know. You get rid of pancakes?
I can't get rid of eggs.
In between pancakes and cereal.
No, cereal's like
cereal's clutch.
I can't get rid of cereal.
Cereal is so clutch.
I'm gonna stick beside him.
But most cereal is bad for you.
Okay, I'm gonna stick beside him.
What's your favorite?
All. No, I mean, if I had to just choose, like on a desert island, I'd probably go with honeycomb.
Oh, that's a good selection.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Every now and then you get a real sugary, buttery one that's like crystallized.
I can't knock anything you just said. See, yeah.
What about you?
So you can make waffles out of pancake mix. So I'm like, and I like a good waffle that's.
I think we can say waffles and pancakes. You gotta.
I know, yeah. So I guess they're gonna have to go. They're gonna have to go because I do like a good bowl of cereal. They come in they come in clutch sometime. I don't feel like cooking dinner.
Right.
Taylor loves it too. What dessert could you live with never eating again? Ice cream, cake, pie, or chocolate?
All of them for real.
Okay.
I don't really.
Okay.
I'm not a sweets guy.
Side note: is cheesecake cake?
Oh,
we're gonna ask
what to call that next week. We got a guest coming on next week. I'm gonna say cheesecake. What is it? Cake or pie? I think it's cake, but it's all disgusting.
Whoa, it's disgusting.
It's too rich.
the perfect thickness and the perfect crust and
oh
yeah, no. Yeah, my mom makes a amazing cherry cheesecake and blueberry cheesecake.
Ugh, and I hate cherries on pie.
Ooh,
I don't like those syrupy cherry. Ugh.
I got you.
Ugh.
Which of
I like
these
real cherries though?
Which of these would you give up for the rest of your life? Would you give up enough sleep? Give up a social life? Or give up career progress?
Sleep.
I feel like I've already given up enough sleep. Once you have a child, you figure
I don't sleep. I mean, I sleep pretty good now, but I've had some not good sleep before.
Yeah, I don't. I would ask you this one, but I already know the answer to this. Right. It says one of these celebrations has to go: your birthday or Christmas. I already know.
And Christmas. Get rid of all holidays.
Okay.
I want to abolish all holidays.
You trip.
They're all just a bunch of made up nonsense, just so Hallmark can sell cards.
One got to go.
Uh-huh.
Your favorite album, your favorite movie, or your favorite place to eat?
I'll say movie. My favorite movie. Can go. It's fine. I remember it.
Yeah. I can I'm with you on that one. I think that's probably it. I'll find. Okay, I'll do one more.
One more for the folks. What was that?
Because would you rather pass gas every time you laugh?
Do that anyway.
or burp every time you cry?
I think I'll burp every time I cry. That'd be a little bit less, but I laugh a lot. I don't want to fart every time.
Yeah, I think I wrote with the burping too.
But it'll make you cry a little bit less serious. You burping every time. Like, that'd
be annoying too.
It'd be annoying, dog. You're trying to grieve. I miss you, Grandma. That's cold. Nah. But hey,
boy,
better than the alternative.
That is true.
Let's get into the comment section. So this comment came from Paul BYT on the TikTok.
Paul Bite?
Paul, like I guess like PYT, but BYT. Like
I want to love you.
Black young thing, maybe. I'm not sure.
BYT?
BYT. And if you want your comment read, make sure to either put a comment in the post or send us a direct message, and you may get chosen for us to answer your comment or answer your question. So Paul's comment was, people need to stop buying I'm guessing he's saying houses. People need to stop buying houses if they're complaining that there aren't enough houses.
What, Paul? What'd you say?
Well, I'm not going to dog you out, Paul, because I think I understand your question.
People need to stop buying houses if they're complaining that there aren't enough houses.
I think the context behind it. I think he's trying to say that we as a society, I guess, we all need to stop buying houses so that the prices can come down.
Or is he talking inventory? Because he's talking about the amount. No,
he's thinking because the context is he's thinking that if people stop buying houses, then that will bring the price down because then sellers are going to be forced to lower their prices because they're zero buyers in the entire world. And then I guess that's going to bring the prices down. So then people can then go now and buy houses because the prices are cheaper.
So you trying to help Paul out?
I'm trying to. I mean, that's the context. That's what he's trying to say. People need to stop buying houses because they're complaining that there's not enough houses. So what say you, Coach? People need to stop buying houses.
People need to stop buying houses when they're complaining about not enough houses being available. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Real talk. I don't think I have an answer for him that my mom and grandma would appreciate.
There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot. Yeah, I'm not dogging you out, Paul. I'm gonna help you out.
I'm not dogging you, Paul.
I'm not gonna dog you out. I'm gonna help you out. Here's
I'm not dogging you, Paul.
My little answer here, which is I understand that why you think that. I
don't.
I think his overall point is housing is too expensive, or he can't afford houses, or that housing is too expensive, which is kind of like the overall theme of most people on my TikTok. They kind of all just say houses are too expensive as a blanket statement.
Okay.
Which I think that statement lacks nuance because all houses aren't too expensive, right? Because it's like, well, there are houses that are affordable. And what's your definition of too expensive, right? So I think the nuance behind this statement, people need to stop buying houses when they're complaining that there's not enough houses. And I think it's not so much that people need to stop buying houses or that there are not enough houses. I think it's more so people right now aren't buying as much as they were 2 years ago because, one, interest rates have increased. And two, where they want to buy, they may not be able to afford. Okay. That goes for everybody, right? Everybody wants to buy somewhere where they can't afford. But I think kind of the overall answer or response to that is, nobody's ever going to stop buying. That's a utopian, idealistic scene. That's like saying, oh, everybody should be nice to each other. Well, that's not going to happen, right? Because we're a group of individuals, and we all have conflicting interests. So there's always going to need to be somebody that needs to sell their house. And there's always going to be somebody that needs to buy their house. And so the question for you as a buyer is, where do I fit in all of this? What do I need to do? And, kind of like what we've said in a few episodes, which is, you need to buy where you can afford.
Yep.
And also buy in the area, like if your desired area is out of your price range as it stands right now, well then let's create a plan, a longer term plan where it says, okay, in 5 years, I want to move to Georgetown, Washington, D.C. I want to buy a $2 million house in Georgetown because I want to be in that zip code, right? Well, can you afford it right now? No. But that doesn't mean, all houses are too expensive. No, it just means where you want to buy is too expensive. Oh, but there's no houses anywhere. Well, there's lots of houses everywhere. Yeah. So these types of statements, I think, lack a little bit of nuance.
Yeah, and again, I ain't trying to dog. Here's what I would like. I would like to invite anybody who has questions, that has comments, and maybe you like to dialogue about it a little bit further. Maybe we can do a Facebook, not Facebook Live. Does TikTok do live?
Yeah.
Okay. Instagram Live. We can.
You want the TikTok Live smoke though? That's smoke. That's a smoke show, bro.
Why?
You ever seen it? Log on to TikTok Live one time and just look at somebody else's live feed. I think,
what I'm saying is to have the split screen type of thing and have the conversation.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think
I don't think I know enough about what he's saying.
I don't hate that idea. If y'all trying to come on,
yeah, just we can set it up. Maybe do like a little special.
Yeah, I think the thing with TikTok, and I'll just be straightforward with y'all. Like TikTok, a lot of times these people are like, they're just a bunch of 16-year-old kids just like typing in the basement. They're not really like I pulled this comment out of the hundreds of thousands of comments that I get because a lot of them are just kind of nonsensical rantings. This question actually was kind of, I felt like there was a little bit deeper desire to actually, I understood where he was coming from. And so again, there's two criteria when you want to buy a house. You're either going to buy where you can afford, right? So if you can't afford, then you either need to reduce the amount of house that you want, or you need to expand your search criteria.
Well, I encourage Paul to think about it a little bit more, you need some education. You got two brothers here that can educate you and help you understand that your thinking may not be wrong, but it's got a more of a narrow view. So we can help expand that and just give you some things to think about. But appreciate the comment, brother.
Appreciate the comment. We are the Real Estate Wire podcast. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you're listening on the podcast, make sure to leave a 5-star review if you like what we're talking about. And make sure to hit that notifications button so you're the first person to know when we drop new content. Where can they find you, Coach?
At Mortgage Coach Marcus and at Fields Mortgage Group.
And I'm Dan Wheeler, sells homes on all platforms. For all of us here at the Real Estate Wire, thank you so much. We are out.